That's pretty amazing
and
organic
and also
mass
kale,
in
right?
there now.
This is what you want. The
So
soil.
you see, you have to remember what you saw when you were walking over by the labyrinth.
Yes.
Rocky, dry.
Yes, there's gravel and pebbles.
They're making soil in these raised beds by using locally available materials. And this is exactly what we're trying to do with the farmers that we're working with, the tea growers in Assam, is get them to realize that everything that they need is available locally.
Yeah,
And they have no idea that they can use it to build up the soil. It's very simple, but it's incredibly wonderful. Look at this. This is what plants need to grow in.
The bacteria and the fungi in the soil are processing everything that is alive or was alive. Okay?
everything with the carbon and hydrogen.
Everything with carbohydrate. All the plant residues, everything, and they are completely digesting it into the minerals. Everything else is not relevant to the plant. The plants want the water and the minerals to grow. And that's what the bacteria and the fungi are doing in the soil. And so basically, if you want fertility, if you want the plants to grow well, you need a lot of bacteria and a lot of food for the bacteria, and the food will be transformed by the bacteria to feed the plants. It's so simple.
Now here's another thing that goes on what Thierry's saying. I always thought from my very basic science class at school that photosynthesis is a process whereby the plants are able to convert the energy that they get from the sun into sugars and some proteins that they use to grow.
Well, yes, maybe.
What do you think photosynthesis is?
Well, first of all, I thought that the process of photosynthesis was not part of the plant initially. It came from bacteria or something that kind of co-hosted the tree, if I may put it like
You
that.
are correct. The bacteria invented photosynthesis 2.5 billion years ago.
Right,
That was like 1 billion years before the plants and the animals appeared.
right.
And then the bacteria took all the carbon from the atmosphere.
Right.
Because there was like, we don't know how much, but
Huge
it was like
amount.
10% carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
And methane.
Took all the carbon from the atmosphere and put it in the ground to cool the planet.
Right.
And then they invented the animals and the fungi and the plants.
Yeah, that came about in a...
So the plants are now basically maintaining what the bacteria did
Correct.
2.5 billion years ago.
Correct.
And that's what they're doing.
But I was also told that this leaf and all that is kind of a symbiosis, I don't know the right term, between the rest of the plant and this bacterial genes that decided to co-host with the tree or something like that.
You want to say something?
No, go ahead.
The bacteria invented photosynthesis.
Right.
And then when they evolved into the plants,
Yes.
well, it was really now the big cell, the eukaryotic cell, the
Yes,
nucleated
yes,
cells
yes.
that really evolved into the plants, the animals, etc. So the nucleated cells just took in the bacteria,
Correct.
and we call them plastid. We call them like photosynthetic plastid. But the plastid, the chloroplast, is a bacteria.
That's what
or was used to be a bacteria.
It came from that.
Absolutely, it's very obvious. It's very obvious. It has its own bacterial DNA.
Right.
We know that. Yeah. So you're correct.
And then
But the plants are, and I think
This is
you
what-
have to finish your story now.
Yeah.
What Peggy wants to say is that the photosynthesis is not just about growing the plant. Your turn.
Okay, so we have the roots in the soil,
yes, yes.
and what we now understand is that the roots and the root hairs are actually excreting sugars and protein into the soil and feeding the fungus and the bacteria and the tiny microorganisms that live in the soil and creating this incredibly complex relationship
Yes.
between the plant and the fungus that are occupying the soil, all these microorganisms that Thierry is talking about.
Yeah.
So now we understand that it's not just that the plant is taking in the energy and growing, it's actually working with the soil and with all of the plants that are growing around it in this incredible, what's been called soil food web.
Yeah, but it's also pumping up something up to the leaves, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What is it? Is the sap that's going up to the leaves?
Water and minerals.
Yeah.
Dissolved.
Water and
By
minerals.
the bacteria and the fungus that are in the soil. They convert it into a form that the roots of the plant can absorb.
Yeah,
Right.
and the photosynthesis is also sequestering the carbon out into wood, back into the backbone of the tree, right?
The plant is making food with photosynthesis, carbohydrates and everything else.
Right,
Okay?
right,
And it needs that to grow.
right.
But it's doing a whole lot more than it really
Yeah,
needs.
I understand.
And it sends everything else, but half of it. It sends that to the roots to feed the bacteria, because the bacteria needs the sugar. And in return for that, the bacteria are providing the minerals.
Yeah,
It's called mineralization.
fantastic.
Neat, eh?
It's fantastic.
So then
and
when
the-
you start to see what's going on in the soil, you know, having healthy soil makes things work. This is the life that feeds us, you know. The plants are important, but
Oh,
what's
yeah,
going
of
on
course.
in the soil. So without healthy soil and healthy seeds, we're screwed.
Yeah, but who brought this screwed situation on us? It is we only, right?
That's why you're here to
Plants
talk
didn't
with
do that.
Thierry.
Sorry?
That's why you're here to talk with Thierry.
Yeah.
Look at her, digging in the mud. She loves it. This should be on video everywhere. Oh yes, and by the way, look at the horsetail. Where the horsetail farm.
Yeah, they're growing automatically, right?
It's because the soil is a little bit acidic
Oh, I see.
and wet, and they love it. But horsetail is very much like comfrey. It is also medicinal, but it also has roots 6 feet deep,
Oh,
very deep. And
so
this,
you can't uproot it.
and
No.
this is a very primitive plant. It was here like before the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's because
There's
you can
no
see
way.
the shape of, before the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ancient,
When you see those
Oh, you're talking about
pictures
250 million years of before.
Yes, sir. You're seeing those pictures with all the big plants, the giant plants,
Yes,
and the jungle
chica,
where
yeah.
the dinosaurs
No
are.
grass.
You got plants like this, except like they're 50
Oh.
feet high.
So you had these guys with huge necks, no?
Yeah.
Wow.
No smell to it.
Okay, now male and female.
No, that's not. They're both the same.
Are they the same? Where is the female?
Yeah. There's some. I had some not that long ago, so we'll find some, but
Okay.
it looks very different.
You mean the females are not many around?
Because in,
And-
you
and
know what I
first
wanted
of all,
to figure out.
And there's no male and female. This is vegetative. And the other one is just a sporulation.
Oh, okay.
This is not like male and female like the angiosperm.
Well, what I was trying
This
to
is more like a fern.
what I was trying to figure out is that in the biodynamic preparations, when they use horsetail, I thought they said they differentiated between the male and the female in the horsetail.
Did it?
I thought that
Okay.
maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe it's a different stage of development.
It's a bit, yeah.
Do
this
you
is
know?
not this is not the sporulation stage. And what you're looking for is the sporulation, and I had lots of it not that long ago.
Because I was just going to use it to make a compost feed here, and then I heard.
This is what you're looking for. But of course, it's drying up now.
Okay.
So what is it?
More.
What is it?
So it's not.
This is the
exactly-
sporulation stage. It's basically like sand spores, like seeds.
Yeah, it's one alternative generations, right?
Yeah.
The next
that's
generation will be
third
again the
looking one. Okay. So do you know in
Not
the
exactly
biodynamics
male and
which,
female.
which one they use in their formula?
But it's probably this.
Yeah.
probably
This
is,
would be
because you
very
don't get
rare.
That. Yeah. Well, it's you know
It's
somewhat
around,
rare,
but like
this is all
1
the,
in 100.
This is there always, all year long. Yeah.
It's not exactly male and female. Alternative generations are tiny, makes a lot of spores, and then next one is huge trees, and then they
Yeah.
come back. Right?
This is a sporulation process. So it's a very primitive plant. This is not
Yes,
seeds.
of course.
Yeah.
Uniquely primitive plant.
Yeah.
Just imagine if we were like that. Our children would be like microscopic, and then they'll create next generation which will be bigger than humans.
Have you ever used any of the horsetail in your liquid formula?
I don't, and I'm not that knowledgeable about gardening like you, etc., etc. The only thing I do, I mean, I know a little, I know some biology.
You know quite a lot.
I know, but I'm
Very
not.
humble.
It's the gardening thing.
Yeah.
And what we do here is basically this. This will grow here
Yeah.
like this, and what I do is this. It's a
Oh, I see.
wonderful mulch.
Oh, I see.
You can't get rid of it. There's no every time you break one,
It'll grow again.
it'll be back in a month.
Yeah, but
Or
you got
it'll be
mulch,
back
and
in a
then
month or
you
two.
eventually have to
But
take
it's
the
an
mulch and put,
incredible mulch.
and then you have to take the mulch and put somewhere else, right?
Not
That's
really,
I just
because
leave it there.
feeds the soil.
I just
right?
leave it there
why. Oh, just to feed the soil, and that's
to
it.
Yeah.
feed the plant. Yeah.
Oh,
by the-
so eventually it goes everywhere.
When I decide that the camphor is really too thick and it's shading the plants, shading my crops, I just pull it and mulch it. That's really all I can do.
We were all raised, and you guys too, even in Bengal, we were raised by this vision that the British had, that things should go in great straight rows and that there should be no competing weeds. We just, same with the tea gardens, kill every living thing that's surrounding the tea bush.
That's a bad idea now.
It's terrible, because that's not what nature does. So we're now starting to realize that a healthy garden is actually one where there are things growing along with the crop that we're trying to harvest, and you have to learn how to grow them in a way where there's not so much competition going on, and that you feed the soil, but then you use this as a way of keeping the moisture level high in the soil, as well as feeding the microorganisms that are there. So that approach in a very sophisticated system is called permaculture. I think it's pretty sophisticated to be able to do it well. But Terry's garden, my garden, you'll see, we're not throwing the weeds now so much into the compost pile. We're actually just putting them back onto the soil. And sometimes the garden doesn't look as neat and tidy as the Better Homes and Gardens model.
No, that depends
But
on
it's
your
healthier.
of the way you look at it. A perfect golf type lawn looks so nice. It is probably harmful to the planet.
Absolutely. You see this little plant? This is a wonderful one to have because it fixes nitrogen.
They keep telling the word fixing nitrogen when we go inside. I'll ask you about
My
it.
scientific
Why do they use that
background
term?
isn't as
Fixing
solid
nitrogen.
as yours.
When you walk in the forest, you never see the floor,
Right.
the soil.
Right.
It's always covered with the
Something.
dead leaves and branches and detritus from the trees. That's mulching. The forest is mulching itself.
Yeah, and
Always.
underneath all kinds of things are happening.
And that Peggy mentions permaculture, and the motto of the permaculture is mulch, mulch, mulch. If you don't do anything else, cover the soil with food.
And see, this is one of the things when I'm working in Assam. Northeast India has a lot of rain during the summer
Yes,
months,
yes.
traditional anyway.
Exceptionally high amount.
Yeah, and we have a lot of rain
Here.
and snow
Right,
here in the
right.
winter months.
Right.
So the effect of that rain is to leach out nutrients.
Yes,
You know,
right.
especially if you think about a tea garden, it's all nicely drained.
Except
because
on
the
a
tea
slope,
bushes-
usually on a slope.
Well, and in Assam, it's not on a slope,
Yeah,
it's
right.
pretty flat.
Yeah.
So what they do is they dig big trenches
Right.
to
Right,
drain the water away,
right.
so that the winter rain or summer rains come, pound down on the soil, which isn't covered by anything. Anything that was in the way of organic material, that leaves decomposing or other things that happen to fall on the soil, all get washed down into those drains and cleaned out, and you're left with this polished mud that has absolutely no organic material
Yeah,
in it, and
clay.
it creates like a concrete mat. so that the water never penetrates through the soil. It's absolutely dead, and that's why the plants are so dependent on all of the chemical inputs that they give. Soil's dead now. And anything that does happen to penetrate that hard earth, which is actually trying to repair and to heal itself, they spray with herbicide. So it's just the worst type of system ever.
The organic matter, that the bed where Peggy was playing with the soil over there, the organic matter is like a sponge for minerals. It will hold the cations and the anions. Clay will hold the cations too. Every other soil particle just doesn't. It's like, you know, it's like having a big bag of marbles. That's your soil, and you pour water and nutrients and minerals in it, and everything
just
goes
go
down.
right through.
If you had organic matter in between your marbles, it will hold it.
Yeah.
And it's very important. It's very important. So
And it's unfortunate that India is, like you say, that the knowledge is, it wasn't like this before.
No.
It has become, thanks to Green Revolution, we have learned everything wrongly. What is this?
Rhubarb. You know rhubarb?
Yes. But I wouldn't have recognized it. Massive leaves.
oh, they are, in a month it will be like this. The stems are like this.
Wow.
This little area here gives us about 150 pounds of stems.
Wow.
The stems. This is the stems.
Yes.
It's very acidic, and it's so acidic that the leaves are toxic. And you can actually put the leaves in water and let them decompose and use the juice to spray for insects.
Oh, I never knew that.
It's very acidic, yeah. You can use it.
Oh. I do know now, though, that we can put them in the compost pile.
Of course, of
For
course.
years, people said, don't put it in the compost.
Oh, this is silly. Everything has to go into the compost. I want to show you my garden.
I think this is going to be a good garlic year.
Well, it will be a good garlic here.
What's that?
That is garlic.
Now, Thierry, when I was at Carmen's yesterday, she's got big white rock in her school, and she's quite worried about them. She's already getting some yellow tips on her plant. Now, have you had any problems with this in the area you
Every year I'm predicting what this happens. Every year. For 4 or 5 years you have to remove it. This is winter. This is winter.
Okay.
Every year they do that. They have a little dry tip, a little yellow tip, because they're up, they're up this much in February, and they get burnt, of course.
I think you get more light here too. I suspect the reason why mine don't have this right now is that we're growing in the middle of the forest. And they're probably a month behind you.
Oh yeah. You don't have enough light where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I love your place, and I love to live in the trees, and it's wonderful, etc., etc. But for gardening, it's far from optimum.
Yeah.
It's because there are too many trees and not enough sunlight.
Not enough sunlight.
Although the area that we're growing in is the best spot on the land, and we're very lucky.
In which way?
Well, in our property, because it has a bit of a south exposure, and the fellow who owns the land right next to us, there used to be trees growing all the way along there that blocked all of the sun coming in the east and the south, and about 5 years ago he agreed to us cutting those trees down to let the light in. So consequently we are getting enough light there to produce raspberries and garlic and all of the other things we're growing, but not this great expansive light that is ideal for growing food. We're making the best of it.
You produce enough food for your family throughout for the year?
I produce...
And more?
I have a box program, a CSA box program.
Like Moss was telling you about?
Moss and Arzina have one on the other side of town. Same thing, similar. So every Tuesday people come and get their box of food. So I have about 15 boxes.
That means 15 families. And they pay what, 100 bucks, 300 bucks, 200 bucks a year?
400 for a small box and 650 for the large box.
Small boxes for a family of
I don't know how do you count, you know, it's like, it's not going to feed, it's not all the food for everybody for the whole week, of course not. It's fresh veggies.
Yeah, of course.
It's basically for 20 weeks, so imagine if you went to the farmer's market and had a budget for $20 that week, and that's what you're going to buy $20 worth of vegetables at the farmer's market. It's not going to go very far, and it's not going to be all the food you're going to eat for that week, but it's a nice fresh vegetables. And here it's very, very fresh and very organic.
And very safe.
And people come here to pick it up, right?
People come, about half. Half people live, you know, on this side of town and come and pick it up at the farm, and I have the other half in town, delivered in one spot in town, and people come and get it there. Yeah, I don't deliver.
Fantastic. Yeah. Can I see a box? How it looks? Well, when it's ready. Now.
Well, the season starts mid-June, so we don't have. You've seen those milk crates, you know, the square milk crates?